What's up guys, welcome to Echo Productions, I'm Silas Willoughby, and Christopher Nolan's 10th feature film to date is finally here, and it is without a doubt an edge-of-your-seat spectacle. Saying that Dunkirk was just your typical war film would be completely inaccurate. And while that did lead some people to not like it as much, I very much enjoyed the different methods this film explored. Like a lot of Nolan's films, time is a big part of the theme, in this case a lack of time running out. This is apparent by everything the characters do and say, and of course by the incredible score by the legendary composer Hans Zimmer. But I'm starting to get off track now, so let's take a look at the first thing that this film did differently than almost any good film before it. It is generally agreed by most filmmakers that one of the most important things to a successful film is great characters. This is one of the reasons that films like those from the MCU are so successful. But this is also one of the things Nolan decided to stay away from when making his film. The goal of the film was to completely immerse you in the story and suspense that these men who were stranded and desperate were going through, and from the first shot you were almost completely engaged in the story of the film, but not with the characters. I felt no special connection with any of the characters except possibly Tom Hardy's character, the heroic pilot. And this is because we aren't watching a film about these characters and their lives, we're watching a film about the lives of 300,000 men and the fate of the entire world. Our main characters are there to represent and present the problems and dilemmas of the other men stranded on the beaches and in the boats. We don't get any of that pointless romance or expositional discussions about the characters' backgrounds that usually accompany most action films. Dunkirk was purely about the events at Dunkirk, and I think that they did a very good job conveying the mood and despair that these men must have been going through. This is largely due to the excellent score and cinematography. In fact, it almost felt to me as if the music were a character in itself. Hans Zimmer's score keeps you on the edge of your seat the entire duration of the film. It really puts you into the scenes. It makes you feel like you are there with the characters that we are following, so while even if you don't feel a special connection with the characters themselves, you do at least feel very connected with their cause. The scene with the pilot as his engines cut out literally makes you feel like you are in the cockpit with him, and you are just as worried about what's going to happen as he is because it's not just his life on the line, it's yours too. To transport the audience from their seats to the events of the film is the biggest compliment you can give to a filmmaker, and this is something that I think Nolan and his team definitely succeeded at. They made the events and cause more important than the individual characters, and very much made you feel like you were there. Another thing that Dunkirk did that a lot of action movies haven't been doing recently is sticking to their theme and mood. Most of the biggest Hollywood blockbusters of the last 10 years have been high-budget action films, so getting people to watch them is not a problem. But in general, they tend to break off their action and suspense with jokes and lighthearted, quick-witted characters, which throws their theme and mood all over the place. But in Dunkirk, the theme and mood don't have that type of fluctuation. They did this by tying all the aspects of the film together perfectly. I've already talked enough about the score, but the cinematography and color were just as big of factors. They tied perfectly into the mood, keeping the audience on their edge of their seats, as they could feel the Germans crushing in around and trapping the soldiers on the beach. Nolan did a really great job tying together all the elements of the film to keep the theme consistent, which, as I said, is something you don't see all that often in summer blockbusters anymore. I think all of that came full circle and was tied up very nicely by the example of Tom Hardy's character, the heroic pilot. We've watched him the entire film risk his life over and over again to save the lives of those in the boats or on the beach. And then at the end, when his engines cut out and he glides to the ground taking out the final German bomber, we get a very nice tie-up, as Harry Styles' character, Alex, reads the very inspirational speech for the British people. We see our pilot slowly glide down and land on the beach with the sun setting, symbolizing the closing of the story for now. And when he finally lands, he doesn't try to run, but he burns the plane so that the Germans can't get it, and he surrenders to their capture without even looking at them. But that's all I've got for you guys today. This has been Echo Productions, I'm Silas Willoughby, and I'll see you next week. But first, I want to leave you with this final scene so you can see what I really meant.
Hey! Where are we?
Siding! You'll be pulling in a minute.
What station?
Woking!
Grab me one of them papers. Go on.
Can't bear it. You read it. Can't bear it. They'll be spitting at us in the streets. If they're not locked up waiting for the invasion.
Wars are not won by evacuations.
I can't look.
But there was a victory inside this deliverance which should be noted. Our thankfulness at the escape of our army must not blind us to the fact that what has happened in France and Belgium is a colossal military disaster. We must expect another blow to be struck almost immediately. We shall go on to the end. We shall fight in France. We shall fight on the seas and oceans. We shall fight with growing confidence and growing strength in the air. We shall defend our island whatever the cost may be.
What?
We shall defend our island whatever the cost may be. We shall fight on the beaches. We shall fight on the landing grounds. We shall fight in the fields and in the streets. We shall fight in the hills. We shall never surrender. And even if this island or a large part of it were subjugated and starving, then our empire beyond the seas, armed and guarded by the British fleet, would carry on the struggle until, in God's good time, the new world with all its power and might steps forth to the rescue and the liberation of the old.